ahead and start the stream, and I've got the video pulled up, so I'll listen.
So go live.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That does for usually, well, I mean, with just the key, you had to like switch over to YouTube and hit go live. That's nice. So I should be able to open up another. Yeah. Testing, testing. Oh, here it is. Until I remember the password. Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
Didn't count. 20% violation. Here we go. We're streaming now.
We're up.
Yeah, I think we're ready to get started.
Okay, perfect. So we do have quorum. So I will call this meeting to order at 7:14 p.m. I'll have Mr. Bukovich go ahead and take attendance.
So we have Ms. Goodman.
Present?
Can't hear you, Andy.
Vice
Can't hear you. It's like the owl's not working, I don't think.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Present.
You guys can't hear me when I do this. Do we need to move this just closer?
Yeah, we'll try that.
Kind of hear you, but not that well.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, much better.
Yeah, much better.
All right. Mr. Gonzalez.
Present.
I'm here. Mr. Hendrickson.
Present.
Mr. Bergeron.
Ferguson.
Present. Why do I have your name on the minutes as Bergeron?
You watching them?
I think you're watching too much.
I watched a
with the
lot
stars.
when I was younger. AFB.
Oh, that too.
Okay. Anyway, Mr. Loria.
Here.
Ms. Steinke.
Here.
Ms. King.
Here, but you're back to being quiet again.
Mr. Lockamy.
I see him on here.
Cool. And Mr. Vance.
I'm here.
Cool. So everybody but Jordan.
I'm here.
Okay. The next order of business is public comment. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak at this time?
Frank Atwood.
Hello, Mr. Atwood, you have the floor.
Good evening, State Board. I'm your liaison to Center Right Coalition that meets here, hosted by John Caldera here at Independence Institute at 9 o'clock in the morning. The basic rules are what's said here stays here. What's handed out as literature is eager to distribute. Two pieces of literature from this morning I've given people here. One is with regards to firearm legislation, which of course kind of horrifies the individuals here, Second Amendment advocates here. The other is the 2023 Liberty Scorecard of state representatives and senators. It's put together by the Republican Liberty Caucus, and check out, they may have changed their name slightly. They turn out to be predominantly fiscally responsible, so focused on the fiscal side of being libertarian without trying to get too adamant on the social side. Just as other literature that I did not have enough copies of to give everyone is school board elections. There's an emphasis this November on school board elections, and that kind of sums up center-right coalition. Over the weekend was what's called Western Conservative Summit, hosted by Jeff Hunt of Centennial Institute, Colorado Christian University. We held 3 polls. One poll was a vote for one and only one. Second poll for presidential candidates. Second poll was an approval voting, pick all you like. And the third was approval voting with issues, pick all the issues you like. The first poll, which was pick only one, Donald Trump edged out Ron DeSantis by about 4%. The second one, which was the approval voting, for the third year in a row, Ron DeSantis edged out Donald Trump. From the weekend, very little discussion of the indictments on Donald Trump. For the third poll, which was issues, election integrity was number 1 issue, and then drifted into national security. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Mr. Atwood. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on. Now we are going to take care of the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, I can't remember if we need a second to approve the agenda. Do we, Andy? No. Okay. Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Now we will go to approval of the previous minutes. Mr. Bukovich emailed the board a copy of the May minutes. Are there any corrections that need to be amended to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Mr. Bukovich also sent us convention minutes at the same time as our May minutes. So we'll go ahead and proceed. Are there any corrections to the convention minutes? Hearing none, then the minutes stand approved for our previous convention. Next are reports from our affiliates and the representatives from them. Arapahoe, is there anyone to speak on behalf of Arapahoe?
I can speak on behalf of Arapahoe. This is Joe DiBiasio. It's been a productive past few months. We've discovered quite a few hurdles with respect to what a political organization can and can't do. We were going to do a golf tournament to bring in revenues, but we were informed that political organizations cannot host. So anyways, with that being said, we have to find ways to latch our efforts onto other organizations. So we need 501c3s, 501c4s that we can attach to that will host those types of events. Then we can sponsor polls and do things like that. But what we can't do is we can't host the actual tournament itself. Which sad, it is what it is. A few other things we were investigating. We were talking about revenues and how we want to approach that. And one of the things that I did a bunch of research. One of the things that I found is that obviously the Libertarian Party of Colorado is a 527, but it's filed under 527. And then if you're tracked through the FEC, you don't actually have to report to the IRS. so you're exempted from that. Now, in a lot of these political organizations, what we found is there are 527s that they file an 8871 and an 8872, and you could actually withhold your donors, and you could withhold your contributions. But a 527 can donate to a 527, but if you withhold that information, you just pay a 35% penalty, which is 15% better than, if you have a 501c3 or 501c4. Now, this all kind of just sounds like word salad, but what does that mean? We've been kind of kicking around the idea of integrating separate 527s as fund sites, because I think the Libertarian Party is really, it's kind of spread out. I mean, we're pretty much cool with everything. That's kind of the way we roll. We're like, hey, yeah, you're a liberty lover. You want to smoke some weed? Cool, smoke some weed. But there are people out there who are professionals who want to focus on, tax reduction and some of those other elements. And those two concepts, they don't always jive, because 98% of the people that we're talking to are either a Democrat or Republican. They don't really understand the role of government, limited government. So what we were talking about is, I'll use the example of liberty of weed, right? So we were talking about this idea of liberty of weed. It's something that came up. And if there was a 527 that was just that, we could pull in contributions from everybody. And, you're gonna have Democrats, you're gonna have libertarians, probably not very many Republicans at a weed thing. But
Joe, we just lost sound. You're kind of cutting in and out there. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're okay. Can you hear me all right now?
Yes, we can right now. It seems like it's gone in and out a couple of times, but that was probably like 15 seconds.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
well, the bottom line is, we've been thinking about different ways to bring in revenues, and we're looking at the legalities of how we can do that. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. I had to pitch the idea around to a couple of folks. Am I back on?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like the owl is picking. It seems like the owl is picking up the sound, and it's like any buzz will kind of mute you, Joe, and then go straight back to the owl for some reason. Is there any way we could temporarily mute the owl so that?
Are there people in the room who have their microphones on? You need to mute them.
David, is your audio turned completely down?
What?
Is your audio turned completely down?
You're probably hearing my kids go crazy in the other room too, so that's happening.
Yeah, but that's okay.
All right, we can hear you again, Joe.
All right, cool. All right, so I don't want to obviously take up too much time talking about this concept here, but we have been maturing this idea over the course of I'd say about 2 months now, and we've had a lot of heavy investigation, and we're trying to look at different ways that we can start generating revenues for this party, and I think we're onto something here. I've been very firm with Arapaho in saying that, hey, going up to somebody and saying, I'm a libertarian, give us money. A lot of people are like, about 1% of people think that's something they want to contribute to, but a lot of people are willing to contribute to single initiatives. So if it's something that we can initiate at the lowest level, and it's very specific, people will contribute to that cause. They don't need to know that cause goes directly back to our organization either, because the way that an IRS filed 527, it says specifically in the instructions on an 8872 that you can withhold that information. You just have to pay a 35% penalty, which is basically taxes. So you're a nonprofit that pays taxes, and you don't have to give over information. Any questions on what we're up to, what we're looking into?
Hannah,
I'm very I'm very excited about all of these things you're discussing and all the information you're digging up. I think it's going to be very beneficial to the entire party. Miss Carlos, I see you have your hand raised for a question.
It was just a quick comment when it's appropriate.
Go ahead.
Not a member of the board, just as a member of the party, would like to express concern about withholding information. When you ask people for their money, I think you need to give them all of the information, that if it got out, we didn't. I think that would look really bad on the Libertarian Party. And if we're promoting an issue that they're interested in, that then builds goodwill with the Libertarian Party. You can lead with the issue, but I think burying the fact that it's ultimately to the party, I think that, I don't know, I informed consent is, even if the government allows it, I very, very uncomfortable with that, but it's obviously not my decision, just giving my input as a party member.
You know, I can address that though. So there's two areas of withholding information. There's the contributions that a Shadow 527 makes, and the donors that contribute to said Shadow 527. So it's not the Libertarian Party that we're talking about. It's a separate entity completely. But I agree. I mean, people should have the ability to say, "Hey, I'm buying a T-shirt for this cause, and I'm going to write my name down as a person who has contributed funds to this." So the way that you can itemize the report is to say if somebody withheld that, then you would pay the penalty on that contribution.
So it's like a case by case. If somebody requests that you withhold their information from donating to that, you can, but there's also the option that they can have their information show. Is that
That's correct? Yeah,
Okay.
they can choose. And the reason that it's not a political, we're not talking about an FEC filing. So the Libertarian Party is an FEC Form 1 filing, which is totally separate than a 8871 filing with the IRS. That's why, and so the reason you have two separate 527s is because 527s can donate to each other as they see fit. There's no issues with this organization over here donating to the Libertarian Party because our goals are aligned. Now, you know, one of the things that we've discussed, and I'm not trying to speak for the party by any stretch, but one of the things that we have said is that, well, if you're at this bomb, let's use this as the example, you have a booth that says the Libertarian Party, and over here you have another booth that says Liberty of Weed, and Liberty of Weed is dedicated to, you know, basically issues that relate to liberty of cannabis. You're probably going to get more donors for that cause than you are for just the Libertarian Party. Now, that's just an assumption, but you know, we would want to see if we could put that theory into practice. But the thing is let's say Liberty Weed is selling T-shirts, lighters,
Right, the owl thing is happening again, you guys. What is going on?
Okay, oh, I'm sorry.
We're not sure. We're hearing you guys okay? Are you still hearing us all right? Joe did cut out once or twice, but
We're hearing you, but Joe is cutting out pretty bad at the end there. So
yeah. Can you hear me now?
mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll just kind of wrap it up. I mean, it really just gives you the opportunity to mobilize fund sites for single issue opportunities. So, you know, it doesn't have to be cannabis. It could be anything that the party aligns with. And it doesn't have to be the Libertarian Party. It can be something separate. So that's kind of the area that we're investigating. Now, we're not going to make any fast decisions on this. You know, we want to think everything through and do it the proper and obviously the most principled way possible. But the information is there, and it's something that everybody does in politics.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Is anyone here from Boulder? How about Denver County?
Yeah, Kyle Fury for Denver. We've got 2 events coming up on This Wednesday, the 14th, 7 o'clock, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Atomic Cowboy on Broadway. That's just our monthly meetup. And then at the end of the month, on Sunday the 25th, at 2 p.m., we've got our annual meeting for the year. We're going to be voting on our board as well as one bylaw amendment.
All right, thank you. Do we have the representative from Douglas County?
I'll speak for Douglas County. We have one event coming up on the 26th of August. The board has just approved the purchase of a space for the Pride event in Castle Rock. And we would love to have all the board members, or as many as that are able to make it, come down and help us man the booth. So that is in the works right now. We have not yet secured the spot, but we voted on it and that's in the works. So as soon as that happens, we'll let you know, and we'll be asking for additional volunteers because that's going to be a full day event. So
Wayne, what day did you say that was? I'm sorry, Wayne, what was the date you said this would be?
August 26th.
Great, thank you so much.
Perfect.
Do you mind if I supplement that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We're about to also, if you can mute, thank you. We're also about to set our annual convention, but I wanted to do an update on us trying to get candidates. That project I've been working on. David has been regularly sending out emails for us when I'm finding vacancies. We just sent out a postcard to every registered Libertarian in Castle Pines because there's an off-year town council race. So far, no bites. We did research to try to locate phone numbers. Wayne's going to start making phone calls next week. If we don't find candidates that way, we're then probably a couple weeks after that are going to go door knocking these people. If we don't end up with any candidates in Castle Pines, it's not for lack of trying. We've been busting ass. It's not that big of a community, but there's 100 and something Libertarians. If we can't get one of them to run, I'm going to be like upset, but it's like run or give us money, something. But we've really been going hard on the let's get people appointed, elected type stuff in the background.
That's very, very exciting. I'm glad to hear that. Oh, both on both the booth and the push for candidates. Thank you so much. Moving on, is anyone here from El Paso County that wishes to speak to the affiliate?
John Engel here. I can speak for El Paso.
Perfect.
On Sunday, myself, Janet Turner, and John Jersman met briefly to do further investigation on upcoming races, smaller board and council member positions that we might target specifically in the near future. We also had a meeting to discuss our content calendar, and for that we'll be focusing, I guess, mainly a Twitter page. And so a content calendar for that has been decided. Mike Sisko and Jason Calvert kind of headed that up, and they posted a summary about that in our Discord. We're having our monthly meeting this Thursday, and that is continuing at Mimi's Cafe on Academy. Yep, and that's all our updates.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask a quick question? Do you mind?
Yes.
John, did you guys find, if you don't mind asking, just like quick, did you find anything on local elections? Because I know I had a lot of trouble finding when I was looking at El Paso earlier on in the year.
Yeah, nothing upcoming that, certainly no elections yet this year.
Okay.
So we just kind of did more research into like board positions and appointments that.
No problem. Awesome. Thank you for the update.
moving on. Do we have a representative from Jefferson County?
I can speak for Jefferson since I wasn't sure if Reed was here or not. We're going to do a canvassing training on our upcoming meeting, which will be, I believe, on the 29th of this month. I'm not sure the exact location, probably at the Holiday Bowling Lanes, but it will be some basic canvassing training for people who want to knock doors, at least from Merle and Jessica's campaign, and then maybe some other campaigns that we find.
Great.
And any affiliate is welcome to come to this. So this is not a Jeffco specific only event. This is open to everybody.
Oh, nice. That's good to know. Thank you. Is anyone here from Mesa County? Pueblo? Larimer?
I can speak for Larimer and Weld. We kind of have a Northern Liberty on the Rocks going. No speakers yet, but we're just trying to get it, like a regular meetup. We're going to be moving locations. Just to, Weld and Larimer are big together. So the next one is going to be this Wednesday from 7 to 9. I'm sorry, at Grimm Brothers Brewery in Loveland. They're a liberty-friendly little place. The guy I think that owns it is a libertarian. He's pretty awesome. They have good beer. So if anybody wants to come and join, 7 to 9, Loveland.
Great. That looks great. Okay. Now we're moving on to reports from our LNC representatives. Ms. Harlos, would you like to speak to the LNC secretary?
Oh my God. I should always take notes for these things because things have just been like so moving very fast. Okay, we're having our meeting in August in DC. The convention theme contest is going. So I really encourage everyone to participate in that. It's a really fun fundraiser. And I'm rooting for the one that's number 2 right now. So hopefully we can get that up there. But there's going to be also a lot of, which I've seen LPCO already participate in, some membership renewal contests. There was a really big problem with the CRM and a concern as to whether the national membership numbers were accurate. From what I understand, mostly thanks to the heroic efforts of Mr. Bukovic, that problem has been straightened out, or pretty much so. So we'll really know where Colorado stands when the next report comes out, which I think is going to be like any day now. So I would really encourage you guys to keep doing that so that we have a bigger gain than California, because you can't let California beat us. And let's see. I can't really, there probably is a lot, to be honest with you. I've been kind of really working very, very closely with Angela on the Michigan litigation, and that's nearly all of my time right now. So I kind of have tunnel vision on anything except for handling litigation matters. But I'm sure if anyone has any questions, I'll be like, oh yeah, that too. So if anyone has any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Harlos? All right. I did send a reminder to our regional rep and rep alternate. I do not see them on the call, but maybe they jumped on. Is Miguel or Becky on? Okay. Next order of business is board reports. I have nothing further to add on mine. Mr. Gonzalez, do you have anything?
Nothing further to add.
Mr. Hendrickson, do you have anything to add to your report or for discussion?
Nothing further to add.
Mr. Bukovic?
Nothing further.
Are there any upcoming deadlines, Mr. Bukovic, that we should be aware of?
We got a appoint platform committee next week, or next meeting. Or not
Okay.
Platform, style committee.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Burgesson? I'm not hearing anything from our affiliates director, Mr. Burgesson.
No additional.
Mr. Luria, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Mr. Marinovich?
Nothing further to add.
Ms. King?
Nothing further to add.
Mr. Vance?
Nothing further.
And Mr. Lockamy? Mr. Lockamy? Okay. Ms. Steinke, do you have anything to add in addition to your board report?
I wasn't entirely sure whether this doesn't really fall just under outreach, but I didn't put anything about the work that we're doing on the website in my report. And I'm not sure if that belongs on my outreach report or if that's something we should discuss today or wait until it's live.
You could have it be in addition to your board report. We could discuss it right now.
Okay, yeah, we're just currently a bunch of the board members that have a lot of experience with websites and marketing communications and the like. We are working on a content refresh for the website to make sure that the content on the site, we're not going through a whole redesign, but that the pieces on there are really relevant, useful, and make it easy to do all the things we want the website to do, which is give us money, come to events, update your voter registration, etc. So we are in the process of doing that right now.
Very exciting. I'm very excited to see what you come up with, Ms. Steinke. I know it's going to be dynamic.
And it's a team effort, so.
Yes, Mr. Burgesson with you as well. So moving on to staff reports, Mr. Aiken, do you have a report to give us?
I have nothing further to add from my committee report, which was posted on the website.
Thank you. Mr. Savoy, for technology, do you have anything to add?
I'm still working with the Independence Institute and get with their tech guy, try and see what we can do to improve the quality of the streams. And that's about all.
Thank you so much. I know it's your first time, so we can only go up from here. Knock on wood.
Yeah. It's the first time, and he may or may not have several people in the room eating up his bandwidth on NBA streams. So.
Okay. Committee reports. Merchandising committee is Mr. Luria. I know that our store is not technically up, so I'm not sure you have much to say, but if you have anything.
I guess the one thing I would say is when we just did an outreach event in downtown Denver, that we did notice that the grocery bags were popular. People did think those were funny, and then stickers are very good. So in terms of things I think would be good to sell on the website, those are things we should add. But I think if I'm speaking correctly, right, we can't really get that back up and running until we fully have the tracer complete, so that. Or is it the bank account that's holding us back from doing that?
I believe it's the bank account. I've had conflicting information on that. So we need to really get to the bottom of which is the proper bank account. So that will be handled soon.
Okay.
There is space for the audit committee. We do not have one, but I would like everyone to know very publicly that the application for audit committee members is up and posted to the website. I believe we're going to be having email blasts go out, and we're looking to appoint the audit committee at the board meeting in July. We have no unfinished business, and we have new business. So the first item on the agenda for new business is the assistant treasurer. We have had 4 people apply. 2 of our people pulled their applications back and agreed to apply for the audit committee. So we are left with James Williams and Aiden Iotti. I suppose that's how you pronounce his last name. I believe we have James Williams on the call. I have not seen Aiden. Merle, our treasurer, Mr. Hendrickson, has had some exchanges back and forth, and he can speak to their applications. Mr. Hendrickson, will you please speak to their applications?
I looked at the applications, felt that all four gentlemen were qualified. Since looking at their applications, I reached out to all four gentlemen, and I spoke to during our times of talking, Mr. Bennett Rutledge and Mr. Kurt Wildfoster backed out of wanting to be the assistant treasurer. However, they did say that they were willing to and they would apply to that. So I do recommend them for that, and think they would be assets to our team. And then as far as two gentlemen, I attempted 3 times to reach out to Mr. Aiden Iotti, a couple times via text and 1 time via phone call, left a voicemail. I did not hear back from him either time. Mr. James Williams did get back to me, and we had a good discussion, and he is here tonight in person as well, and I feel that he is very qualified for the position, since he is the only one of the people who has not who applied and has not backed out, and is here in the meeting tonight, I recommend for unanimous consent to elect him as the new assistant treasurer. However, if Mr. Vukovic would like to read his answers, and if anyone would like to ask him any questions, he is here, and I'm sure he would be more than happy to answer your questions.
Yes, that was going to be my next thing that we would have. So, Mr. Williams, can you please speak to your desire to be our assistant treasurer and to your experience, please?
Sure. Long-time worker, first-time comer. Just more involved. For a while, got back from a deployment, figured it's about time to step up, put my money where my mouth is. And as to experience-wise, small business owner for a long time. I've used a CPA for a long time, so in terms of filings, that kind of stuff, I've usually left that to the experts, but I'm a quick learner. I'm definitely going to be studying as much as I can in that respect. Going through on the filing side, Merle's going to definitely be helping me learn what I need to learn on that side. But financials I'm familiar with, most normal P&Ls, that kind of stuff, 501c3s. Never done anything organizational side this way. So if that answers that well enough.
Okay. Do any board members have questions for Mr. Williams?
Do you consider yourself detail oriented?
I would say so, yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yeah, thank you for that. Mr. Williams, do you understand what double entry bookkeeping is?
In that wise, yes.
Do you have the time to commit to this position, Mr. Williams?
The backup, yes. And Merle and I talked about that in particular. So I just started a new job. I'm still learning the ins and outs of this lovely fun. I'm still in the military as well, so reserves there. I do week on, week off. So On the weeks on, I'm definitely going to be pretty busy. We'll see how this goes. So I'm willing to feel it out, for lack of a better term. I'm hoping to be able to commit enough time during those weeks on. On the weeks off, when I'm not doing my military commitment during that week off, I should be able to donate a lot more time.
Okay. Mr. Burgesson, I saw your hand raised first. Zach?
I get it fixed. Awesome.
Mr. Lockamy, I see your hand raised.
Joe, you're muted.
Or we can't hear you.
If the mic doesn't come on, John or Zachary, feel free to type it into the chat and we can read it out to Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
And after this build-up, it better be a good question.
My favorite color is red.
While we're waiting, Mrs. Chair, I have a question. Oh wait, never mind. Go ahead with the comment.
So I'm in the Army Reserves down at Carson, here in Colorado, and I am a Army medevac pilot, specifically maintenance test pilot.
Mr. Go ahead. Mr. Marinovich, you had a question?
Yeah, so it kind of goes on to that question, and this is kind of just more gee whiz philosophical. Being, not active duty but reservist, and knowing the position you're in, did that affect your decision to get involved in the party? Kind of what's your philosophy behind everything?
It's definitely been one of the hardest things for me to reconcile. There's definitely some hypocrisy in that respect, in my mental gymnastics. I love my job first and foremost. I think service to country is important. I can reconcile it with the fact that I am saving lives. I think that is an important part of it. There is definitely some parts that I don't agree with, and my conscience is still clear.
Are there any questions from anyone else who desires to ask him a question? Seeing and hearing none, we're going to bring this to a vote. Mr. Bukovich went ahead and created a ballot for us, and it was sent to your email prior to. So we're going to go ahead and pull that up, and you'll just mark your choice. And Andy?
Yeah, can we do this by unanimous consent instead of doing a ballot?
So, yeah, yes. I don't see Aiden is not on the call, correct? Once again, I'm just going to double check. Okay. So, yes, let's do unanimous consent. Is there any objections to appointing Mr. Williams to Assistant Treasurer? Hearing none, he is officially appointed to Assistant Treasurer. Great. Next is election strategy put on the agenda by Mr. Bukovich.
So I put that on there, but I believe Jacob actually has something to present.
Okay, that's what I thought, but.
Yes, so I submitted a very rough bare bones proposal to the rest of the board that Andy and Aaron will be looking over. But essentially, I think some of the lessons we've taken over the past couple of years is I think funding candidates is a good idea. I think on the state level, it might be a waste of a return on investment. So I think we need to sort of create a sustainable yearly funding amount that we can use to dole out to candidates at a small amount to get them started, as well as help them with a website. And then I believe also Andy would like to, which I don't think is a bad idea, is during election seasons, find preferably a college intern or somebody that maybe we could pay a small amount of money to oversee the canvassing software tool that I also am interested in us purchasing. I think the most important parts of this are the canvassing software themselves, and then the potential intern employee, however we would define that, that would be hired. Because I think with the other two things, the funding for the candidates will come a lot easier. So I demoed a program called Vote Gravity on Friday. The guys who built this and put this together are libertarians. This was something they presented to the Libertarian National Party, but just for whatever reason, I don't know, they chose not to pursue it. They work a lot right now with Republicans, but are very happy and interested in working with the Libertarian group. I think since, there are 50 different state parties, we can definitely be one that experiments with something like this. They give us all the same features of eCanvasser. They can definitely do phone banking, email, canvassing, the most important thing. They can update data for us, all of that. Basically, they have two pay models. The one is $100 a month per candidate, which I will say still it really isn't that much. The other is essentially an association fee. So depending, and this would be something that I think probably Hannah would probably have to work out. I'm not sure where the board positions fall. They're willing to negotiate is probably somewhere, I would imagine, between a $200 to potentially $400 monthly fee that we pay to them. And then our candidates would get to use it for a very bare bones cost of maybe like $25 a month, enough to keep them invested and use the software, but not enough to put a burden on their campaign. This match with the maybe $500 to $600 we'd give each candidate, mixed with having someone to help them with this canvassing software, I think would maybe give us more people that are interested if we can, if we really have the infrastructure to be able to provide these kind of candidates this thing.
Are there any questions for Mr. Loria? I definitely think we need to really look into this and consider it. I think it seems very useful. So I think we should come back to this, but we have the information now for our consideration. I believe you also emailed the board details on this as well, correct?
Yeah, that's mainly the pricing. I mean, to be honest with you, in terms of the features, I mean, it's everything that we would get from more expensive models, plus, someone who's a little bit more invested in us because they are also libertarians. And I'm not sure what the best way ultimately to go about this is. This was brought up to me by a candidate because the LPO of Ohio, from what I understand, is trying to do a similar thing with this. Maybe this is something ultimately that is better funded and used at the affiliate level. I'm not really sure. It's definitely something we would want, though, if we run state candidates, and especially if there are any somewhat serious state races where people are actually wanting to go out and knock doors. And then we need to be able, I feel like, to be able to give some kind of infrastructure to our candidates. Now, maybe not every local race we are able to fund. We have to look at that. When we are looking at Nevada, for example, it says a single entity can give upwards of $500. So that, therefore, if we were to give money into one of those local races, we can't give more than $500. I realize that us donating money to local races potentially looks obviously political, but to be honest with you, as long as it is not violation of any kind of campaign finance laws, I don't think it really matters, because I don't think most regular voters are going to look at that. And most people, the best thing that could happen is that the media makes it political instead of us. It's not like these are very large donations. I just, I don't necessarily see as big of a, I don't think there are as many cons to this as there are pros, as long as the candidates are actually using this software. It's also something we could use to canvass our own party members outside of elections, especially if we end up having enough money to maybe part-time, pay people to be able to go out and do that, so we have a grasp and better contact information just for our own voters.
Yes, I agree. I think there's a lot of benefits to this. I think the best thing to do would be to write a proposal and really outline the structure, and then we can proceed with that. But we need the structure, especially for candidates underneath this, to see exactly, as best we can, to get a pretty exact plan for using it and all of this type of thing. So
Yeah,
working on that over this month may be really beneficial.
Yeah, and I see the
We are
notice about potential sort of legal issues. I mean, I would imagine the RNC and DNC has some paid people. It's probably just best to figure out how they legally do it and kind of match that.
Yes. Mr. Bukovich, I saw you had a question.
That's all I need to say, Andy. Sorry.
I'm just being an asshole.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Moving on, we have attorney representation by Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So people of the Libertarian Party of Colorado, as you know, I think we're getting a lot of media attention. With that media attention comes a lot of growing pains. I think that the work that the board has currently been doing has actually been giving off a lot of fruit. And with that comes a lot of legal implications. So I've been looking into potentially hiring an attorney to, number one, first and foremost, help us with the Secretary of State issue. I was thinking that if we can hire an attorney and pay, let's say, a certain amount, let's say if we paid an attorney $2,000 or $3,000, but they're able to reduce our fines, I would much rather pay an attorney that money and reduce our fines versus just paying it all to the state, number one. Number two, I think it would be wise if we hired an attorney to help advise us on issues that are just going to come up, several legal projects that I think are in the works, potentially helping us with Mr. Luria's proposal and issues to do around, small temporary employment, contracting, and so on and so forth. I think it would be wise if we had a legal representative to help us with all of the gray areas. I don't want us to guess anymore. I want us to actually have someone in our back pocket that we can ask these legal questions. I have been talking with an attorney. Her name is Rishi Kapoor. She is an expert in 527 organizations. And just to give you a quick background on Mrs. Kapoor, she also represented parents when the Department of Human Services would take children away from their parents. She actually represented the parents and fought for them to get their children back. She is aware of the work that the Libertarian Party is doing, and she is familiar with a lot of just the in and outs of dealing with the Secretary of State, dealing with 527s, reviewing contracts, so on and so forth. So I would really like to get everyone's thoughts about hiring Mrs. Kapoor or another representative to help us with these various projects.
Mr. Aiken, I see you have your hand raised. You may have the floor.
I'd like to know from Karen Ann if it would be possible for our legal representation at National to talk to this lawyer and see if they think it's a good fit.
You would have to talk to Angela about that. I wouldn't have any knowledge as to that. I do have a caution for the board here. I actually think if you're talking about qualifications and hiring an attorney, you should be doing this in executive session. I really don't think this is a public discussion.
Okay. Okay.
Because there might be some questions and some things that you guys might see on the horizon that are just confidential legal issues that should not be out on the public record.
Okay. How do I do that?
Well, you don't, unless, is there a motion being done now? If
I
so.
don't think so. I think it's just an item for discussion.
Yeah, when it's time to actually get into it, put it at the last thing of your agenda, then you throw everyone out of the room and you guys complete in private, and that way everyone can, because you shouldn't be putting out costs of what you're paying attorneys. They might be giving you a deal. It's kind of like contract negotiations, and that really should be kept private.
Okay. Okay. I think we had this on here just to discuss, and then maybe next meeting, go ahead and do exactly that. So, okay. Okay. So that's very helpful. Thank you very much for helping me navigate that. So let's do that.
I just want to say overall, I think it's a good idea. I think that we've certainly come across some questions that, you know, there's a lot of this and that, so and so said 20 years ago and all that kind of nonsense. It'd be nice to have somebody who like actually knows the law, that we can just go like, hey, what are we doing here? Hey, can we host a golf tournament? That'd be cool. That'd be cool if we didn't have to dig around for that, you know.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for digging into this issue and reaching out to Mrs. Kapoor and creating an idea for us to work with. Are you comfortable with us adding to the agenda next month and for an executive session?
I believe so. Or would it be possible to just leave this up to a vote for us to put it on the ballot, maybe an email ballot for us to decide if we want to hire the attorney or not?
We can do one of two things. I'm not sure which is more proper. I'll let Karen Ann weigh in, but we can either do a email ballot that is just among us, and then like publicize the result of the email ballot, or we can like schedule a special meeting, immediately go into executive session and do what we need to do. We have to like any motions we have to pass, we have to like come out of executive session and pass, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we could just do it on the public list anyway. So
and correct me if I'm wrong, but since we currently don't have a legal representation, do we need an executive session?
No. Since if you like just worded like what Karen Ann's saying, like we probably don't want to like publicize this person's rates, right? So you can like reference the figure that has been sent to the board privately for like what we're gonna pay if you need to request funds in the motion.
Like, for instance, if you don't mind me interrupting, Madam Chair, when we hired our executive director, when we came out of executive session, it was to hire Ms. Lainey Houston under the terms and conditions of the contract reviewed in executive session, so that none of her salary, even benefits and things like that, weren't discussed publicly, just that it was pursuant to a contract reviewed in executive session.
Okay. I think most of us, or if not all of us, are on board to at least discuss this in executive session and vote. So let's do that. Either email or next board meeting will determine that.
So could we make a motion today to put this on just the email vote for the board members? No.
What can you can literally after we gavel out send the motion and people can second it. So it's just redundant to do so.
Okay.
Ms. Harlows, I know you want to say something and I want to hear it.
Per our standing rules, I'm sorry to be that guy. I really am. But pursuant to our standard rules, email ballots are for non-substantive trivial items. This is really something that would need to be done in a meeting, because it's certainly not trivial. I'm I'm going to put myself out here a little bit. I would suggest that you maybe let me talk with Hannah privately, just as a paralegal, because I have questions that I think that perhaps the board wants to make inquiries of, and it's not questions that I'm comfortable discussing publicly, but I can give Hannah a call to let her know some things, but but you all can do what you'd like. Again, I'm not on the board, but I think you need something in writing from this person before you vote you need to have a contract of some sort to be voting on. It can't be this ephemeral thing.
I think that the most appropriate thing we can do, although being an Ayn Randian, I definitely know why that woman hated boards. I definitely get it. They move so slow sometimes when we want to move so fast. I do think it's appropriate that we do this in executive session on the next board meeting. I think we just need to go as close as we can to proper and by the book, especially for this particular issue. I mean, I'm by the book in general anyway. So I know that's probably not the answer you want, Mr. Gonzalez, but I really feel that's appropriate.
We can
Yeah, sounds good.
next meeting too, to give us a little bit more freedom on these email things, so that if it's something that we've discussed in the meeting prior, we can do it via email or something like that. We can do that next time though.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. That would solve, I guess, this particular problem. So I
we don't have it quite formed, but we will in a week, and then we have to wait 3 weeks till the next meeting. So
yes, so yeah, I'm not a fan of having to wait a lot of times when I want to be moving around quickly and pivoting. So I do understand the nature of this. So let's have this on the agenda and we'll make sure we do the executive session. So I just want to do it right. And I do want to hear what Ms. Harlos has to say. So we'll be touching base as well outside of the meeting. I'm not even going to ask if there's any other questions. Well, I guess, is there any other questions about how we're going to do this rather than the topic? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the bookkeeping issue from Mr. Bukovich.
Basically, we have a former member that's moved out of state, that's a CPA, that's willing to handle some of our double entry bookkeeping just to make sure that our actual books are right. And so that we need a little less specific financial knowledge in the treasurer position, and more just a person who can take these things and file them with the appropriate people. There's going to be a contract involved there too, so we're pretty much going to have to do it the same way we do the attorney, and I think can probably do it at the same time. So
okay.
About that for now.
Okay, so that sounds great. Oh, you cut out.
It's Dave Landwehr, if anyone knows him.
Yes, I know him well. Okay, so that sounds great. I love the idea of having somebody help us straighten out our bookkeeping issues and providing a safety net. I think that is very important. So that concludes our new business. Now is the time for any announcements or opportunity for public comment. Joseph or Mr. DiBiasio?
Hey guys, I totally got lost in the moment with that 527 spiel. I did want to let everybody know that tomorrow we are having our Rap-A-Happy event, and that's going to be at the Green Valley Ranch Beer Garden. We chose that location so we can open it up to folks in Adams County if they want to come down and meet us, see if our affiliate is right for them. We did have one individual that Aaron pointed in my direction, and I guess he can't make it. But he was the reason we selected that location.
Well, thank you. That sounds fun. You guys are really moving around and getting out in the county, and I like to see that. Is there any other members of the public who wish to make any comments or announcements?
What time was that?
Say again, time of Green Valley Ranch.
It is at 6 p.m.
This is Frank Atwood. As a public comment, I'd like to see more pictures of directors and board members on the website.
Thank you for your feedback. We will definitely be taking note of that. That is important. I agree.
And I believe your treasurer has a comment.
Yeah, hi, Merle Hendrickson, Jefferson County. I just wanted to let everyone know that might be interested in joining us that the Jefferson County Libertarians have entered the Park Hill Independence Day Parade, primarily for the purpose of promoting my and Jessica Fency's campaigns for city council, but also just to get our faces in front of people and let people know about our values. That's going to be in downtown Denver at 1:30 in the afternoon. If anyone is interested in joining us or wants more information, please reach out to either myself or Jessica or Ross Metler, who is the chair of the Jefferson County Libertarians. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? All right. Our next meeting is July 10th at 7 p.m. here at the Independence Institute. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Jared Polis isn't a libertarian.
Jared Polis
isn't a libertarian.
Jared Polis is the
Polis
opposite
not
of
a libertarian.
Go Nuggets! Jared Polis is a tyrant. Go